Welcome to SS Academy. We have started the first PUC of Commerce Business Studies classes. Business study classes will be started in our academy. Welcome to all. Today we will be started of the chapter 3 Private, Public and Global Enterprises. All the first year students listen carefully. We have started the commerce subject of the business studies. The chapter 3 is Private, Public and Global Enterprises. In this chapter will be started today. We have started the first of the introductions. What is private, public and global enterprises? India is one of the biggest economic country in fifth largest economic country in the world. In India is large economic system is there. First is introduction. You must have come across all type of business organization in your daily life. When we are people is even in our daily life we will look to so many organizations, so many companies in our life. In your neighborhood market, there are also shops owned by the solo properties or big retail organizations run by the company. You look the around in our daily life. You look the market is there, market owned shops is there, private company is there, MNC company is there. Then there are people providing you service like a legal services, medical services being owned by the more than one person. You see that all company all companies provide the some services is providing the legal services, medical services is there, medical services is there, in clinic is there, and legal insurance is there, and being more than one person's, that is called as a partnership. One is one above two persons have the mark company is started, that is the partnership. Those are all are the privately owned organizations. Similarly, there are other offices or places of the business which may be owned by government. Some organization or some companies owned by the private persons, and some will owned by the and manage the government sector. For the example, railway is organizations whole owned by and managed by the government. Like what how like the government sector is the like railway stations is government handle it. It will manage it. It is owned it and by the government. The post office in your locality, your village or your city's locality post office is there. They also come under the government public sector. Post and Telegram Department controlled by the Government of India. Throughout our dependency on their postal services, particular in cities and towns, has been greatly reduced. In modern improve the technology and invention is more depend upon is the post office and is less than, because is modern technology innovation is particular private courier is there, separate transaction is there, telephone phone calling is there. This will be is the innovation in the market. This is because of the penalty of the private courier service for the operating in bigger towns. You will look at VRL courier is there, DAPTC courier is in modern development cities. Then there are business which operate in more than one country known as a global country. How will be defined as the global country? One like take the Infosys is global company because is operated by the two or more company, because is Indian company but is working on American, Britain. His office is there, his branch is there, that like it is a global enterprises. You may have observed that all types of the organizations are doing business in the country, whether they are public or private or global. In our country, private company is there, global company is there, and public company is there is a working here. Private sector and what is a public sector? Private sector and public sector. The private sector consists of the business owned by the individuals or groups of the individuals. Private means it is owned by individual or group of individual. As you have learned in the previous chapter, the various forms of the organizations are solo partnership, joint Hindu family, cooperative and company. How will be private is the solo property is there, partnership, joint Hindu family, cooperative and company. The public sector consists of the various organizations owned and managed the government. Public sector consists of the various organizations owned and managed by the government. Those organizations may either the part of whole owned by the central or state government. They may also be part of the minister or come into existence by special act the parliament. We have public sector is the government has passed the rules and regulations of the public company in parliament. The government throughout those enterprises participations in the economic activities of the countries. All public sector companies in activity on our economics activities in the countries. The government in industrial policy resolutions. Parliament is passes the rules and regulations of the industrial regulations from time to time define the area of the activities in the which as the private sector and public sector are allowed to operate. In the industrial policy regulation 1948 act, Industrial Policy Regulation 1948 Act, the Government of India has specified to approach towards the development of the industrial sector. Government is passed the one rules and regulation in 1948 the Industrial Regulation Act 1948. The role of the private and public sector were clearly defined at the government throughout the various act. How will be defined the private and government? Government has passed the rules and regulation act is different from the private and public. Throughout the various act, the regulation was the overseeing the economics activities of the both the private and public sector. The Industrial Policies Resolution 1956 Act had also laid down certain of the objectives. In when government is passed another Industrial Policies 1956 Act, here some objective of the public sector followed to show an accelerate the rate of the growth and industrializations. The public sector was given of the lot of importance, but at the same time mutual dependency of the public and private sector was emphasized. In 1991, industrial policies was rapidly different from all others earlier policies where the government was deliberating disinvestment of the public sector and allowing to greater freedom of the private sector. In previous in 1991, they did not allow to the private sector. After 1991, government introduced the LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization. That time will be allowed to private companies. At the same time, foreign direct investment was invited for the business houses. When foreign company is investment in India, they will be allowed to the 1991 after the FDI, foreign direct investment. The multinational corporation of the global enterprises which operate to in more than one countries gained entry into the Indian economy. We have public sector, unity, private sector enterprises and global enterprises. So coexisting in the Indian economy. In Indian economy, private sector is there, public sector is there. Both have coexisting. Forms of the organizing public sector enterprises. Government participations in business and economic sector. Government participation in business and economic sector of the country need some kind of the organizational framework of the functions. You have studies about the form of the business organization in the private sector. In the private sector, will be studied solo, property citizen, partnership, Hindu, undivided family, cooperative, and the company. In public sector, as it is grow and as important questions arise to respect of the how to it is to be organized or what the form the organization. If should take the government has a major role of to play in the formation of the public sector, but the government acts throughout it is people. It is officers employ and they have take the decision on behalf of the government. whatever public company is there, they will be taken whatever decision, whatever that make the rules and regulation only from the government, not any private person or not anyone companies. Be government is passed the rules and regulations. Employees, they take any decision on behalf of the government. Whenever worker is there in public sector, they will be only whatever company is the government is taken decision, that will be followed. For the purpose of the public enterprises were formed by the government to participate in the economic activities of the country, they are accepted to contribute to economic development of the country. In today liberalized competitive world, is today present in India, competitive world is there, liberalization is there, there will be public sector company is the participation in development of our Indian economy. Those public enterprises are owned by the public and are accountable to the public through the parliament. Who will be take the accountability of the public sector? That is the parliament. They are characterized by public, they are characterized the Indian economy. Public sector is there divided into private sector. In public sector, departmental undertaking, and another is government company, another is statutory corporations. In private sector, solo proprietorship, partnership, joint Hindu family, cooperative, multinational corporations, company divided by private company and public company. Ownership, public funds being used for the activities and public accountability. The public enterprises may take the any particular from the organizations. A public enterprises may take the any particular from the organizations depend upon the nature it is operation, the their relationship with the government. Whatever public enterprises what the taken a particular dependency is the government. The suitable of the particular from the organizations would be depend upon the requirement. At the same time, the in accordance to the general principles, any organizations in the public sector should be ensure the organizational performance of the productivity and quality standards. The firm of the organizations which is a public enterprises may take are the follows: departmental undertaking, statutory corporation, and government company. What is a departmental undertaking? This is the oldest and most traditional form the organizing public enterprises. Department undertaking is the one of the oldest and most traditional form the organizing the public enterprises. Those enterprises are the established at the department of the ministry and are the considered of the part of the extension of the ministry itself. The government functions through those department and activities from the or any integral part of the functioning of the government. They have to not been constituted of the autonomous or independent institution, and such as a or not independent legal entity. In department undertaking company is there, that it is not a public private sector. Any decision, any rules and regulations will be passed to the government. It is not a legal entity, it is not a independent institution. They act through the officers of the government and employ the government employees. Those undertaking may be under the central of the state government and rules of the central state are applicable. Examples of those undertaking are the railways and posts and telegram department. This is all about the public, private and global enterprises part 1. Will be continue next chapter, next video. Thank you. Like, share and subscribe.